Last night, Kyle Lowry put up a classic you should have traded for me game as he put up 37 points and 11 assists against the Los Angeles Lakers. So in today's video, we look at why teams are going to regret having not traded for him at the deadline. Let's get into it. What is up, Raptors fans? Welcome to Amateur Sports. This is the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors at least 4 times a week. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in videos just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to show your support to the channel. Very close to 2.8k subs and on our road to 3,000 subscribers as usual. But today we're talking about the game last night. The Raptors took down the Lakers 121 to 114. We're going to touch on Siakam's performance. We're going to touch on Lowry's performance and then go into why teams, again, are going to regret having not traded for Kyle Lowry at the deadline. So for starters, I went into this game without a lot of high hopes. The Raptors had come off of 2 brutal fourth quarter performances in back-to-back games. They had one against Utah and one against the Brooklyn Nets where, they just weren't good in fourth quarter situations. And it also happened in the Denver game. And coming off a back-to-back where a lot of the stars were playing big minutes for the Raptors, the Lakers had LeBron and AD back, and they're in full swing. They're going for a good playoff position. They don't want to end up in that play-in spot. They don't want to be in the play-in tournament, so they're going to come firing away. And the Raptors decided to rest Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby. Gary Trent Jr. remains out injured, so without our best defender, OG Anunoby, I thought the Raptors would have some problems, but they didn't, because it was the Siakam and Kyle Lowry show. Like I said in the intro, 37 points and 11 assists for Kyle Lowry, whereas Siakam put up 39 points and 13 rebounds. Siakam loves to play against the Lakers. Game after game after game, when Siakam is playing the Lakers, he absolutely shows out, just showing his quality on the court. This was a bit of a revenge game for Siakam, who hasn't been tremendous over the last few games, but a little bit of a bounce back game here, kind of showing the ability that he has. And I think the reason he continues to play well against the Lakers is just matchups. It's just he always plays well against the Lakers, despite them always having, good defensive bigs on the inside. They always have Anthony Davis. They'll always have, somebody like Andre Drummond. They had JaVale McGee. They had Dwight Howard last season. But still, Siakam always seems to take advantage of those matchups. Even put Anthony Davis in the spin cycle a few times last night. Siakam was tremendous, just again, showing what he can produce. But mainly we are going to focus on Kyle Lowry, who was unconscious last night, hitting some ridiculous shots. There was nothing the Los Angeles Lakers could do to stop Kyle Lowry yesterday. And this comes off of Lowry, the Lakers were shopping for him at the end of the trade deadline, but the Lakers did not want to give Talen Horton Tucker in the deal. And right away when that deal happened, I was even when there was a speculation about the deal, I was like, well, I'm not sure I necessarily want to trade Lowry for Talen Horton Tucker. I'd rather give him to Philly. But then once Philly were kind of out of it, and once Miami were starting to fade out of those negotiations, I'm like, okay, I'd rather get Talen Horton Tucker than nobody. So maybe I would still pull the trigger with this trade. But then seeing in the news that the Lakers were stumped with this deal with Talen Horton Tucker really caught my attention and left me a little bit perplexed, because Lowry, I think, offers a lot to teams like the Lakers. And I think the Lakers, who are dealing with injuries, really will regret having not made this trade. And it's easy to say that after one game. Kyle Lowry has had some bad games, and it led me to say that I think Gary Trent Jr. should start above him for the Raptors. That's more so because I'm not necessarily a fan of the 2-guard system that the Raptors deploy. I would have liked to have gone with a shooting guard. It's the 2-guard point guard system that Raptors typically run with VanVleet and Lowry. I want to see more balance, and I wanted Gary Trent, a shooting guard, to fit in with that. At the end of the day, I don't really care if it's Lowry or Fred VanVleet coming off the bench to run the second unit. I just would prefer Gary Trent Jr. starting the shooting guard spot. And just for the sake of age and Lowry probably not being here next season, it would make more sense to start Fred VanVleet with Gary Trent Jr. in the guard position. So Lowry, still, obviously, a player who has a lot to offer in the NBA and clearly showed that last night. The Lakers, who have lost now 6 of their last 7 games, will probably look back on this trade deadline thinking about Kyle Lowry, because, Kyle Lowry torched the Lakers guards yesterday. The guard play wasn't there. And I know that Schroeder wasn't playing for the Lakers. And, that was the only real missing piece for them. The Raptors didn't have OG Anunoby or Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. Two of their starters were not playing yesterday. And Gary Trent Jr. is a guy who comes immediately off the bench. Yet they still took down the Lakers in what was, in the end, a flattering scoreline for the Lakers. It ended 121-114, but it easily could have been more than that for the Raptors. Siakam and Lowry both each had more points than LeBron James and Anthony Davis combined. Anthony Davis typically struggles against the Raptors. Nick Nurse knows how to defend Anthony Davis. And as far as LeBron goes, there's always the LeBron jokes and all that about him. But since LeBron left Cleveland and went to the Lakers, LeBron is 0-5 against the Raptors. A really eye-opening statistic. And AD in his career is 1-10 versus the Toronto Raptors. So they seem to have those guys' numbers. But again, at the end of the day, this is one game. This doesn't reveal all about the Raptors or the Lakers. But Raptors fans, we can enjoy taking down the Lakeshow. It's nice to take down a fan base like that who are really trying to not play this up as a big deal. But it is a big deal. For the Raptors, probably doesn't mean anything. But it's just nice to take down the Lakers, who are now fighting to stay in the top 6 in the West, so they do not have to play in that playing position. And now let's get into why there will be some regrets for the Lakers not getting Kyle Lowry. So obviously, they've struggled recently. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They have been very poor and have put themselves in a very difficult situation, possibly having to go through the play-in tournament to get themselves even into the playoffs. I think they'll take care of business in that play-in tournament, but they will maybe have to go through that. I think LeBron will figure it out and get them into probably a 5 seed at the end of the season. But when AD and LeBron were down and they had to rely on Dennis Schroeder to really be the key figure for them, Kyle Kuzma to be the key piece for them, Kyle Lowry, if he was traded for, could have been the guy to run that team. The Raptors over the last couple of years, maybe last 3 years, have dealt with a ton of injuries. But even when there is injuries, there are always other players like Kyle Lowry showing last night with 2 starters out that he can step up for these occasions and become the best player on the court and take over some games. Lowry did that exact thing yesterday against the Lakers, showing them what they will be missing, because Lowry could have orchestrated the Lakers through that tough stretch, and they have just been falling down the Western Conference standings. They were 2 months ago the 1 seed in the West and have slipped. And yes, there are injuries there, but every team deals with injuries. You don't see the Nuggets crying because Jamal Murray's out. They've won, 8 of their last 9 games, 7 of their last 8 games since Jamal Murray got injured. That team can figure stuff out because they work around the rotation. But the Lakers have really struggled to do that. They've really struggled chemistry, especially on defense. Their defense has been quite poor recently. They don't look good on the perimeter or the interior, and that was very telling yesterday. Siakam got a lot of action in the paint. Kyle Lowry on the perimeter mostly wasn't that open, but Siakam got a lot of joy on both the perimeter and on the interior. The Lakers as a unit don't quite look there, and these are all things that Kyle Lowry significantly would have aided. And I think having that, serial type of winner, a guy that's willing to do the dirty work in the playoffs, would have been a huge asset for this Lakers team, who, they really don't have the guard play. Again, one of the reasons why Kyle Lowry was able to do what he did is because, KCP and Alex Caruso are not going to be fully reliable ball-dominant guards. LeBron James is going to have to be the guy who takes on that big workload, and absolutely LeBron James is capable of doing that. He's the most talented player currently in the NBA, so he's capable of doing that, but having that extra little bit of help from the guard positions would have been a big plus for the Lakers. Now, Lakers fans might be here. They might be getting angry. They might be getting furious. They probably already clicked off the video at this point, quite honestly. But if you're here, you're thinking about it, looking at what you have to offer there isn't a guy who can run the floor for you when LeBron James is not on the floor. Is Dennis Schroeder going to be that guy? Maybe, but Kyle Lowry would have been a much better player to do that. A guy, maybe if the shots aren't quite falling for some other guys in Lakers, Kyle Lowry could have been the guy to help orchestrate that. He was hugely influential and clutch as the Raptors went on to win the 2019 NBA championship. In fact, put up 26 points in the series clinching game in the NBA Finals. This guy knows how to get it done. Plus, even if it's not about the points, it's about making the life easier for everybody else on the court. And for the asking price of Talen Horton Tucker and some other pieces, that was the thing that stopped his trade going through. Talen Horton Tucker, for real? I think that some people in the Lakers front office are going to look back a little bit regrettably about having not made this trade. Kyle Lowry would have turned that team into easily the favorites to come out of the West. Right now, there are some questions about the Lakers. Lakers fans were always saying, just wait until LeBron and AD come back. Well, they are back, and the team is continuing to struggle. And I think that having Kyle Lowry through that really tough stretch of games without either of them playing would have been hugely beneficial to this team. Not to mention the effect that Kyle Lowry, as a serial winner, a guy who gets it done in the big moments, not to mention what that would have brought to the team for a big playoff run. Can the Lakers still go on and win the championship without having made the trade? Yes, I think so. But, even in the finals last year, Rondo had to take a big workload in terms of the ball handling on offense, and Rondo isn't anything spectacular at this point in his career. A nice player to have on your team, especially in the playoffs where, basketball IQ and half-court offense really comes into play, because that's where Rondo thrives. But Kyle Lowry is another player who does thrive in those endeavors as well. In fact, to a higher degree than Rondo does at this given state in his career. So Kyle Lowry would have offered a lot to this Lakers team en route to winning potentially a back-to-back championship, as the Lakers definitely are seeking out to do. LeBron James does not lose early on in the playoffs. LeBron James only gets to the finals, and maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't, but he's always getting to the finals if he's in the playoffs. But I think it's going to be one of the hardest roads to get there that he may have ever seen, and he really would have needed a bit more help in terms of the ball handling department and the shot making and shot creation department. Kyle Lowry would have been this sort of asset for the Lakers as well as many other teams, but it's easy to poke fun at the Lakers here because Lowry sauced them up last night. We had the LeBronto thing when Cleveland always seemed to take down the Raptors in the playoffs. I absolutely hated it, but maybe we're transitioning to the California days because Kyle Lowry loves playing against the Lakers and showed out again last night. Will there be regrets from teams for not trading for Kyle Lowry, specifically maybe the Los Angeles Lakers? I definitely think so. So what did you guys make of Pascal Siakam and Kyle Lowry saucing up the Lakers? I want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. But thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, be sure to like the video if you did like at any point to help us reach new viewers, and subscribe to Amateur Sports on our road to 3,000 subscribers. Hit the link beside me. Also check out the most recent video and maybe another video by the channel you might like.